All right, people. This is an interesting one right here. So yesterday we got the announcement. Ring Magazine were amongst some of them to break it that Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Ben 2 will take place on September the 20th in London. This will be a Riyadh season card promoted by Sella, Matchroom, and Boxer. Now, before I play this little clip, this is from a recent IFL interview that Eddie Hearn gave with Cook and Cassius. Before I play this clip, if you could very, very quickly, please do hit subscribe, hit the like, hit the notification bell. You'll see a little thing on screen just there. I want to go and play this little excerpt. Have a look there on screen.
That he's the only person that acts on his behalf now. We received correspondence to that effect yesterday, actually, from Team Eubank to say, I, am not signed with anyone. I make my decisions. That's it. So that's a conversation for him to have with Ring and those guys. We have a contract, so I can't. I just, we expect that to be honoured.
So that's what Eddie Hearn said. He words to the effect of Eubank made it clear that he's the only person that acts on his behalf now. We've received correspondence to that effect yesterday from Team Eubank to say I'm not signed with anyone. Well, in theory, Eddie Hearn Chris Eubank Jr. is actually correct in that one. Because Chris Eubank Jr., a lot of people are asking the question, has he left Boxer? Is he now, a free agent promotionally, etc., etc.? Well, the reality is he was never a Boxer fighter. And that was made clear from the get-go. You may remember it was around about a year or so ago, it might have been just before AJ fought Daniel Dubois, where it was announced that Chris Eubank Jr. was now in a partnership with Boxer. Understand the word partnership. That is very different from a promotional deal. If Eddie Hearn or Frank Warren, or even Ben Shalom for that matter, sign a fighter, Fighter A has signed a promotional deal with Queensberry, with Matchroom, with Boxer. A promotional deal is very different to a partnership deal. Essentially, Ben, Boxer, Chris Eubank Jr. have just been kind of a partnership, so to speak. It's not as a promoter fighter, all right? And I was a little bit when I seen this interview, I was a little bit myself kind of like, okie dokie, what's going on here? Because, again, I knew because it was made public that it was a partnership deal with Boxer. But I was kind of like, right, is there something else going on here that I need to know? So I reached out to a representative of Nova Sport, who is Chris Eubank Jr.'s managerial company, a company that manages Chris Eubank Jr., and I was sent the following, and I'll quote here: to confirm, Chris Eubank Jr. and Boxer are still working together as a partnership. However, any final decision in respect of Chris's bout remaining with Chris I'll read that again. However, any final decision in respect of Chris's bouts remain with himself, Chris Eubank Jr. himself, and Nova Sport. By all accounts, Chris Eubank Jr., Boxer, Ben Shalom, very good terms still, no issues there. It just remains the fact that Chris Eubank Jr. was always in a partnership with Boxer, as opposed to him actually being a Boxer fighter in terms of Ben Whittaker is a Boxer promoted fighter. Chris Eubank Jr. works in a partnership. There's a big difference between the two. And that is from a representative of Nova Sport. I've just read out to you there. So the final decision will come from them themselves. I've no doubt that we will see both fighters in the ring for Conor Ben, Chris Eubank Jr. too. I think there is still a lot of things that need to be ironed out. I think that obviously the weight is one of them, and I think Eddie Hearn was kind of alluding to that as well. The first fight was fought at 160 with a 10-pound rehydration clause, which is absolutely farcical when you consider there was no world title or any title at stake on the line. And even if there was an IBF title on the line, well, their rehydration clause is 12 pounds. So what the F? That was absolute nonsense. It really was. Because, again, when I was looking at, certain, sites, it was saying, like, Everything Boxing, who are only very, very good, were saying that it will take place at middleweight with a 10-pound rehydration clause as per the first fight. Well, Chris Eubank Jr., I believe, was the winner of the first fight. He definitely was the winner of the first fight. So, surely, should there not be some contingencies made considering Chris Eubank made all the contingencies first time around when he did nothing wrong, quite frankly. So it's an interesting one. I'm wondering if Eddie Hearn, maybe, given the fact that he was obviously with Boxer on fight night for Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Ben 1, Ben Shalom was celebrating in the ring, maybe if Eddie Hearn just got his wires crossed, but from what I've been told and from what I knew, it was always a partnership with Boxer, And it appears as though, again, Eddie probably is just looking at that and thinking, oh, it's Chris Eubank Jr. on his own, he's independent. No, partnership is very different from manager or from fighter promoter. So that is that. Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn, we wait for the kickoff press conference, we wait for, I guess, to hear it from both fighters, because at the time of recording this, if you go onto X, you would have thought like Chris himself would have something there, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I don't actually think he's even made reference to it on X. No, he hasn't. His last actual post was on June 15th with him and his dad saying Happy Father's Day. So there is still very little from Chris Eubank Jr. in that regard. We have seen footage of Conor Benn training, back out running already, so I would say likelihood is all full steam ahead for this fight, yeah, but it's just going to be interesting to see, in the coming days, what's going to be said on that one. Those are my thoughts on that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Quick little video for everyone, people. I hope you enjoyed it. If you could, as always, smash the like button, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. Until next time, peace and love.